think there's anything missing in your life? I don't know. Is there just like a major thing that you're like, man, I wish I had? Not material.
I think my biggest problem in life is I usually feel like I take care of everybody else around me. I think sometimes it'd be interesting to have like more responsible, like adult-like figures and like are capable of handling their shit and taking care of stuff around me. It would feel interesting.
Do you mean like just like financially or like
I mean, that's one thing, but like, I don't know, just anything. I kind of feel like generally it feels like when I'm in situations with other people, I feel like I'm kind of like, people usually like look to me to figure out like what's going on or like I guess what has to be done or whatever. Sometimes it feels a little exhausting, I guess. Like it feels like a lot of the time that like I can't really depend on anybody for anything. Like I kind of have to, if something needs to get done, I kind of have to like work at it myself. I can't like just like, hey, like I just want you to take care of this and I don't have to think about it. Like it seems like whatever. It's a little exhausting.
What do you mean, like in business? Like you gotta explain because I don't know. I'm trying to relate and understand. But do you mean like personally or business?
I would say that like personally for sure. I feel like if I want anything done personally in my life, I have to figure out a way to get it done myself. I can't like be like figure out this thing.
Is it like the sense that you don't think anyone can do it as well as you? You know the old phrase like you know, if you want it done right, do it yourself.
No, I actually super don't believe in that. I think that's a really bad, like from a small business perspective, if you have that outlook, you'll never get anything done. You have to delegate tasks.
And you feel like you've had bad experiences in doing such?
No, I mean, I do think I delegate tasks like really well. It's one of my strengths that I've had over the past 3 years. I think it's just more in a personal sense. Like I said, like I've kind of done everything in my own life. I don't really have anybody to like look up to or I can like ask for advice for a situation. Like I kind of always have to figure everything out on my own, which gets a little, I don't know. I guess I got one of the things is like, this sounds like really bad to say. I don't mean this. God, I hope my parents don't ever listen to my shit. I feel so bad. But like, so I visited like Melina's family because I needed to in Sweden, and her dad is like super cool. He's like a Swedish cop. He's been stationed in Kabul over in Afghanistan. Like he's got like a ton of like crazy life experience or whatever, and he seems like a really smart guy. Like I can talk like politics with him, and like that's like super cool. I wonder sometimes what it would be like to like grow up like that, or like, you know, like I have a problem. I wonder what it's like to like call like a family figure to like get advice or perspective on or something like that. Like that seems like really interesting to me. I've never had that lived experience before. Yeah.
So you feel like you don't have higher ups, you know?
No. I've never had anybody that I've like looked up to ever in my entire life. Like I pretty much feel like I'm kind of figuring everything out on my own.
Just because it started from your parents and then no one else, or do you like never give someone the opportunity? Like have you never had a mentor in anything?
Never, no.
I wonder what it stems from. It kind of. I mean, part of it, like, maybe I keep thinking it's like you think everything, you know, in the sense, like, I don't know, because I'm the way that I don't think that anyone else is smarter and understands me better than I understand.
I feel like that's accurate, though.
Oh, wait, we have to give that guy his thing.
I already gave it.
I guess it feels weird because it's like, especially, my upbringing was kind of weird in that I went from like upper middle class. My life was like upper middle class growing up to like lower class into working class into lower class. And it's like the only people I ever saw in my life were either like prep kids who basically had like everything was kind of like paid for. Like they would like quote unquote live on their own, but their mom and dad would like pay for their cell phone, their car, and their car insurance. So like they always had like a ton of help. Or it was just like poor people who were like literally like, I can't think of a better phrase than like financially retarded. Holy shit. Poor people are so bad with their money. So I can't like on either end of the spectrum, it just seemed like clueless.
Is it like your parents didn't want to help, or did you not want their help because you wanted to be financially independent?
I don't really want to go into it just because apparently there are like, I have nieces and nephews that like watch my stream. But like all of my family is like financially like just so unimaginably horrible. Let me put it this way: if I make more than 3 times the amount of money of any of my siblings and their spouses. But if you were to compare the way that I live to every single family member, I have the smallest house, the cheapest, least amount of cars, like everything in my like all of my family lives like so far beyond their means. It's unbelievable. Like huge houses, tons of cars. Multiple bankruptcies, lots of credit card debt.
6 consoles.
Yeah, like it's insane.
So yeah, you just live very frugally, but that's because you taught yourself how to live, and you're not living your life based off how your parents lived your life.
Yeah, of course,
right?
yeah. But yeah. Sometimes I guess when I see people with like really cool parents, it's really, really hard if you So if I hated myself, it would be really easy, because I would just say like, okay, well, my life is fucked because of this experience. But I really like myself because of my independence. But when I look at some people, I kind of wonder like, man, if I had like a parent that could have like, that was this smart, like how much of a fucking head start would I have had like, on life? Holy shit. Like, it's hard sometimes when I deal with like Melina, like sometimes I get like frustrated dealing with her, because of like what I perceive to be like relatively like emotional immaturity. But it's like, or a lot of people, but it's like a lot of the people I talk to are literally 21. Like when I was 21, holy shit, I was such a fucking moron. Like, why would I expect anybody, you know, in their early 20s to have things, you know, at the level that I do? That's stupid as fuck. I've got like a 10-year head start on a lot of these people. So yeah, I don't know. But then I wonder, like, if I was like 21 with an amazing parent that knew, like, actually had like so many cool accomplishments and knew so much stuff or whatever, like how much does that like get you ahead as a kid? Like, what kind of advantage is that? It seems insane.
I think it sours your life, like your outlook on life. I
Probably depends on how you
appreciate my experience, like having to grind for everything yourself and being dependent on no one. And I could have been dependent. I
mean,
chose not to. I prefer it that way.
There's got to be some balance, like a well-off parent that doesn't just give you everything but makes you work for things, I would imagine.
Yeah, I have like a fail-safe instead of just like something that's always holding you up.
Yeah.
It is strange because it seems like going through adversity really helps you develop as a person.
Or destroys you,
100%.
depending on the person.
That's true.
Yeah.
But that's all based off, I feel like, your mental strength.
But it's
What you can survive. Because
Yeah, but
anything you survive, you actually do get stronger from it.
Yeah, but the problem
If
is
you deal
like
with it in the correct way.
so much of that mental strength is like so much of it is just like I feel like a lot of that development happens before you're ever smart enough to make any big choices about your life, and a lot of it just ends up being like pure fucking luck.
Yeah, but that's why at like 90% of issues, or that's obviously not a real stat. It comes from what happens to people as kids.
Yeah, no, but like that's like deeply unsatisfying then. Like, I think I got really lucky because growing up, like, the games that I happened... Like, the first game that I got, the first big game I got was my grandma bought me a PlayStation, and then she got me a game with the guy with the big sword, and that was Final Fantasy VII. Like, that was the first game that I ever played in my life, and I think I just got really lucky that I kind of, like, stumbled into JRPGs, and then, like, I learned to read really well, and all the people that I looked up to were, like, relatively, like, intelligent characters, like, you know, the Solid Snakes and everything, and it's like, okay, cool, and that's just kind of what I modeled myself after early on in life, but it's not like I made, like, some super conscious choice, like I'm gonna overcome my adversity in this way, you know. And if I would have chosen worse role models or whatever growing up, then by the time I was like 20 whatever, I would be fucked probably. I would just be like another loser that can't manage any of his bills or finances and like fucks everything in his life up.
How do you feel that like with your son, do you feel like you're able to give him a healthy amount of adversity? Because how do you, like, when I think about myself, if I ever like have kids in the future, I don't want to literally make them suffer or struggle to have to go through adversity to build character, but like you don't want it to be so easy that they just never have to develop it.
I don't know what the answer to that is, because like it's really hard for me. Like my kid doesn't have like any tenacity. Like even from a really early age, I think that like Nathan gets like pretty discouraged from things, but it's probably normal. Like I wish I knew why, but like I think I have like I had an unhealthy. I respond really well to abuse. Like if people tell me that I can't do something or that I'm a worthless piece of shit or if something is very frustrating or challenging, like I love like sitting at that for a long time. It's so enjoyable for me. I love it. And I remember like even like super early experiences of feeling that way, where there were like certain situations that were just like so fucking frustrating for me, but it usually just made me want to like try it like really hard. But I noticed like for my kid, for Nathan, when he gets really frustrated with something, he's like, fuck this shit, I'm done. And it's a nightmare to try to get him to push through it, which I imagine is like relatively normal. But like I wonder like, well, if he's like that at, 8 years old, is he stuck that way forever? Like, is he just fucked in terms of like not being able to like deal with adverse? I don't know like how you get somebody to deal with that kind of stuff. I'm not sure.
Well, I know for me, dude, I used to be like a little bitch of a kid until my parents they was always like, you fucked it up, you fix it, or you deal with it, and they didn't like handheld me and shit, and that's what made me learn how to deal with it.
I read a paper on growth mindsets about that very issue about why kids persevere. I don't remember. Or I wish that like I used to be more firm growing up. I'm not growing up, I'm sorry. I used to be more firm in my early 20s where I'd give advice to people about like, oh, like this is my mindset. I think if you do the things that I do, like it'll help you be as confident as I am or whatever. But like but after more introspection, like looking back, I don't actually know like how much of this was like, oh, well, I chose to be like a confident and secure person versus like there's just very early developmental stuff that just kind of like spun me out into the person that I am. And I really didn't choose much of any of it at all. I don't know. That's more what it feels like. A lot of it just feels kind of lucky.
It is weird because it doesn't seem like, looking back, you get to choose the way that you handle certain situations as a kid. You
Yeah.
just kind of have like an approach.
Yeah, it's because you learn how to deal with things by dealing with things. It's not something innate within you. The trials and tribulations you go through in life and how you learn how to deal with them based off of how dealing with them affects you after the fact is what actually teaches you how to do so correct. And then some people just
Sure.
never learn, and then they're
Yeah.
fucked forever.
Do you think that self-help books actually help people? It seems like a lot of the books are just vague platitudes or mindsets. I think a lot of books are, fuck, I shouldn't say that. I've read a few that are fucking worthless. I remember that I read one early in my life. Fuck, I think it was in like 4th grade. And the name of the book was How to Win Friends and Influence People. That book was actually really good. It had a lot of really good insight into like people's behaviors. I don't know if I'm I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if I'm slightly autistic. I have a hard time, or I've had a hard time for a lot of my life, like kind of understanding how people put together thoughts. Like a lot of people feel very irrational to me. Like I can't deal with crying people. Like if somebody's crying, like I literally have to like move them out of the room, or I have to leave. Like I can't do anything. Like I feel incredibly fucking awkward. Like spending time, I guess because of that, like sometimes I've had to spend a great deal of time thinking like, okay, well, why do people respond to certain things in certain ways? And like, if you just sit down and you think about that for a long time, I think that those thoughts can become fruitful. I think you can figure out a lot of stuff that way. It sounds really stupid, but something I said to Wes earlier, like when somebody's asked you, like, have you thought about a problem? Just thinking about things in passing is a lot different than like actually dedicating, like, here's like 4 hours that I'm going to spend like thinking about this particular thing. I think that can like yield really interesting results, really fruitful results if you actually are willing to sit down and do that. I don't know if I've ever released notes like this in the past, but I used to do that sometimes when I would come up with like difficult like philosophical questions for things that would like challenge like some of the beliefs that I had before. Sometimes I just open like a notepad and I just start like writing stuff down. Like I'll jot out like my basic position, and then I'll jot out like a more fleshed out version of it, and then I'll start like writing down questions, you know, relating to it that challenge some of the positions, and then I'll do responses, and then I kind of go back and forth like that. And that kind of stuff like really helps me like flesh out my thoughts so that I can understand both sides of it really well.
Yeah, I've learned that writing shit helps tremendously. Because when you think about it, like thinking, especially when it's something like strife, your brain goes 100 miles an hour trying to process it. But if you write shit down, it's just the same way like when you learn things better when you write down notes instead of typing them or just trying to remember them.
Yeah, one thing that people have trouble understanding is that moods are generally, or oftentimes, are imperceptible. The best example I can think of this is keep track of your mood like before and after eating if you've like gone a while without it. Like I'll even catch myself doing this sometimes where I'll just be like in a real nasty fucking mood, and then I'll eat, and then afterwards I'll be like, man, dude, I was really fucking hungry, I guess, because I feel way better now. Like I feel like a fucking 5-year-old sometimes. It can be the same when you're really sad or upset about an issue or frustrated or depressed about something. Just opening up like a notepad and jotting down some thoughts and then reading those either the next day or 6 hours later when you're in a healthier mindset can be incredibly illuminating to your thought process. You might like identify, you know, like some key insights into like, wow, you know, when I get upset or depressed, I tend to think about these things a lot, or this is like really negative. Like I should address this more. This is something that's worth more, attention in the future. You know?
Something else is if you're really tired. Like if you've slept really poorly, it can affect your emotions and mood a lot.
For sure. I don't know. I just pay attention a little bit more. I think that he's like hardcore shelled himself out for Bernie Sanders, like past any point of having any amount of integrity when it comes to dealing with stuff.